All right, guys, what's going on? Week number 3. Who's number 1? We are back, and we got some great racing this past weekend. Alpenrose, the Cross Crusade, one of the most historic races in that series in the Northwest. Babcock, Butler, taking big wins there. We were down at Pisgah, the mountain bike stage race, 5 days. Tom P was down there for Cycling Dirt. Lots of great coverage, lots of great videos. Sam Kerber versus Jeremiah Bishop versus Adam Craig. We got lots of great interviews. Adam Craig especially.
Aside from the fact that it's Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., how come you're not out doing cyclocross this week?
Because they're... Have you been to the Pisgah National Forest? This is quite possibly the best mountain biking in the universe, so why would I be doing the cyclocross now? Those things have road bars and goofy little brakes. And yeah, this thing is way better. Look at all these cables.
All right, number 9 this week. Just sliding into the top 10. 4th place, both days in Gloucester. Caitlin Antonu. Great ride for the Cannondale Cyclocross World Rider, the defending U23 national champ. You guys know it. All right, you know what that sound means. It's the jump of the week. The rider that made the biggest improvement from last week to this week in the rankings, going from 22nd to 8th place in the top 10 this week. Who else? Andrea Smith. 2nd place, 5th place, doing great things in Gloucester, Mass. All right, moving up into your 5th place this week. Nicole Duke finally gets her interview on Cycling Dirt.
Nicole, this is my first interview. Don't you want more of these? More of Nicole Duke.
3rd place this week, holding her spot inside the top 3, Georgia Gould. Doesn't race last weekend, strong results in the early season, and next weekend coming up, we're going live. She's going to be in Fort Collins for the USGP, her hometown race. Look for her to do good things there. Number 2, Helen Wyman takes the victory both days in Gloucester, just crushing things here in the US. We saw it on the home stretch in Gloucester. Richard Freeze on the mic. The British are coming. The British are already here. They are collecting UCI points, collecting prize money, and taking it back home with them. We'll look for them to do it one more time this coming weekend in Providence. Now, moving into your number 1 spot this week. You guys asked for it. You called for it in the comments. It's Katarina Nash. She's won. She's raced. Undefeated. Katie Compton hasn't raced yet. You guys don't want to see her there? Fine. She's gone. She's off the list. Not until she races and not until she beats Katarina Nash will we see her back in that number 1 spot. So for right now, it is the Luna Chicks rider, Katarina Nash, taking the top spot, the top glory this week on Who's Number 1. All right, moving on to your men's rankings this week. Like we said, big things going on in New England. We had Gloucester, big things in the Northwest with Alpenrose. You know what that means? Your jump of the week this week, moving up onto the list, wasn't even ranked last weekend. It's Boobs. Sean Babcock, the Kona rider, taking down big names at Alpenrose. Trebone goes down. Molly Cameron goes down. Shannon Scarrett. Chris Shepard. Unbelievable ride for Sean Babcock. Moving on. All right, number 11 this weekend, Zach McDonald almost slipping into the top 10. Great weekend for the U23 in Gloucester. Number 10, Todd Wells. Number 9, Jeff Kabush. 8, Ben Burden. Number 7, Ian Fields. We talked about it with Helen Wyman. Same thing with Fields. The British are coming. The British are here. It was the Boston Ian party this weekend in Gloucester, just continuing his dominance. Look for him and Helen Wyman to do it again next weekend in Providence. Number 6, Jamie Driscoll, probably your most consistent rider this whole season. Unfortunately for Jamie Driscoll, he's been consistently 5th and 6th and 7th place. Not able to get onto the podium yet, but look for those consistent results to build upon themselves and maybe make his way onto the podium in Fort Collins this next weekend. All right, number 5 this week, Tim Johnson. It's killing us here, as we're going to call him from now on Winless Timmy. He can't get it done so far in 2011. No wins for Tim Johnson so far this year. We saw him Sunday in Gloucester, the home race, the perfect conditions in the mud, leading into the last lap and still couldn't get it done. Jeremy Powers comes back, takes that win away from him. So we're going to have to wait and see if Tim Johnson can get back to that form of 2010, 2009. Looks like maybe he should spend a little more time doing some training, a little less time hanging out with the likes of Ted King. Number 4 this week, Jonathan Page. Number 3, Old Elbows, Christian Huela. Taking the win on Saturday, a great ride on Sunday, looking like he's back to that form that we saw last year. Look for him now to make it an interesting race at the front. No more Trebone Powers back and forth. It is now a threesome that we're going to be looking for in Fort Collins with Christian up there. Now, into your top 2. Flip-flops again this week. It's Trebone. He slides back to 2nd place. We saw him have a great ride at the USGPs. Chose to take this weekend off from major competition. He went to Alpenrose, did some Cross Crusade up there, leading the race, looking totally strong. Rain comes down, corner, Trebone goes down. On the pavement, spends a lot of time getting up, has to go into the pits, ends up finishing, I think it was 6th place there. So I'm sure he was doing a lot of hard training coming into that week, and I'm sure he probably would have won that race if he hadn't gone down. So we'll wait and see what he can do in Fort Collins. Now, number one this week, he's back. Your number one rider, Jeremy Powers. He's back, the Rafa Focus rider, taking down big scalps at Gloucester, Mass, gets the win there in what is essentially his home race now that we don't race in New England anymore. So Jeremy takes the win on Sunday, second place and very close on Saturday, continuing his dominance so far in North America. Jeremy Powers. Unbelievable, unstoppable this weekend in Gloucester, takes the win on Sunday in the mud, second place. He was close on Saturday behind Christian. He is back, and he is the number one rider in North America this week. We saw him have troubles in Sunday in Wisconsin last weekend in the mud. He struggled a little bit there. We saw Trebone take the number one spot. This weekend in the mud on Sunday, Powers takes down everybody in sight. He is back to your number one rider in Who's Number One. Now, let us know this week, guys, as we talked about. We are not perfect here. We like your opinions. We like to hear your feedback. Let us know in the comment section below. Give us your top 10, your top 5. Who's number one to you? Who did we miss? Who did we leave off? Go ahead, clickety-clack that like button there. Put it on Facebook. Put it on Twitter. Help grow this show. And in turn, help grow the sport of cyclocross. We love it. Now, coming up this weekend, guys, we're going live again, live racing from the USGP at Fort Collins. We're going to be there. We have someone in Providence. We have someone at Iron Cross, the longest cyclocross race in America. It's like 60 or 70 miles. Tom P will be down there. So lots of good coverage coming up, lots of good live coverage. And that is it for this week. We will see you guys next week.